Hello, good evening. My name is Maria Njoroge from the Kenya Diaspora Media, and this is our second episode of the Diaspora Spotlight. This is our newest brainchild, a platform that we're building a community across the diaspora, and we bring you stories from Kenya and beyond, and we tell you how the stories that happen here affect you there in the diaspora, when you tell us how the things that happen in the diaspora affect you and affect us here. So today I have a very interesting guest in studio by the name Bernard Kavyu, and he says his name is Bernard with an R. So through this show, you're going to be pronouncing it as Bernard with an R. He is a man I cannot comprehensively introduce because of the many hats that he wears. But the one hat that caught our in the diaspora is his passion and his love for the diaspora community. And so throughout this interview, we are going to be sharing insights on his personal journey, his reflections, and what he is doing for diaspora and how he has come to create something called Diaspora Being Made County 48, or currently just tell us where it is politically, socially, and what he's been up and about. Welcome, Bernard.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'm really, really privileged and humbled to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. And I look forward to having a nice discussion. And also, I welcome all the Kenyan diaspora and Kenyans back home, wherever you are, those who have joined us. Thank you for joining. And thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
Okay, so thank you very much, Bernard, for that very brief introduction. And so we're going to jump right into it. I've said that one of the reasons that you caught our attention is the work that you do for the diaspora community. So I would like us to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do what you do in the UK at a personal level, and walk us through your journey and what experiences shaped you to start these championing and these activities that you're doing for diaspora.
Okay, thank you. But before I answer your questions on a sober mood, I would like to pay my tributes to a Kenyan journalist and icon broadcaster, the late Leonard Mambo Botella. I grew up in Kenya during the time of Jehu Ungwana, and Leonard Mambo Botella was a household name. I would say literally everywhere in Kenya. So it is really with sadness that we learned of his demise on Friday, the 7th. And I would like to take this opportunity to send my condolences to his family and friends at this time of bereavement. We've lost really a true icon in a Kenyan context. Similarly, and this is really very important for me, I would also like to send my condolences to the family of the late President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Shafishuna Nyoma. As I'll mention in this discussion, I left Kenya in 1995 and I moved to Namibia. So Namibia has been my second home for 11 years. That was my home. So the passing of Sam Nyoma is personal to me because this is someone I knew personally. So I would like to take this opportunity to pay my tributes and pass my condolences to his family, to the Nyoma family, and to the community, the Namibian people at this time of their loss. Dr. Nyoma was a freedom fighter. He fought for the independence of Namibia. He was a leader for 15 years, 10 of which I was in that country as he was president. I was there since 95. He ran up to 2005. So for 10 years, I witnessed him as a leader, a great leader. He was a statesman. So I think it's only fair that as we have this program, we pay our tribute. Okay, having said that, I would like to say, so my name, as you said, is Bernard Kavyu. I currently live in Namibia. Namibia it's my second home. I live in London, England, United Kingdom. I've been living here since October 2006, so that's close to 19 years. This year, October, will be 19 years in this country. If you add the 11 years I spent in Namibia, that makes 30 years in the diaspora. So if you ask me why my heart has been into trying to improve, to look after the welfare of the Kenyan diaspora, is because, as I've said, I've spent now more than half of my life in diaspora. So this explains why I've been so involved. I, I live in with my family. I've got a wife and two children, and I live here. My son just joined the University of Cambridge, where he's studying law. So I'm sorry, but I really, you asked me what I do at a personal level, and I'll tell you I'm very proud. I'm a very proud dad because my son is studying law at the prestigious University of London. My daughter is in the 5th form. Hopefully, she'll also be joining university after completing. I've had, I've spent, if I give you a background of myself, I would say I started my career in teaching. So immediately I finished university in Kenya, I started teaching at an institution known as the American Universities Preparatory Institute. And from there, I moved to Namibia, like I said, and I continued to teach. I taught at the University of Namibia. My background in education is economics. So I've got a bachelor's degree in economics. I've got a degree in law, a postgraduate diploma in law. I've got an LLM degree in law, professional practice, and a master's degree in Master of Philosophy in Public Administration. A degree that was awarded to me by Dr. Sam Nujoma in Namibia. So when I say this is personal, when I graduated, I was the top postgraduate student. So I received what is known as the Chancellor's Medal. And Sam Nujoma was the Chancellor of the University of Namibia then. So he's the one who awarded me that medal. So I take it very fondly. And that's part of the reason, really, I miss the man because I knew him at that level. So that was back then. So I've done teaching, I've run businesses. I did run a college. I've run an educational institution. In Namibia, I've run an educational institution here in the UK. I've worked and taught in educational institutions, and I've also worked as a director in the insurance industry. So career-wise, I've shifted from education towards the insurance industry. And I'm not going to say much, but we've been lobbying a lot for, as part of the Kenyan welfare diaspora, for Kenyans to have affordable insurance. And all I can say is that effort is bearing fruit. And in the coming days and weeks, we are going to be having a lot of discussion on that. So currently, I'm in the insurance industry. That's what I do. And there's news there that I'm not at liberty to disclose until probably after next week. So there's progress on that front. So yes, so that's me. In a nutshell, like I said, I left Kenya in '95, moved to Namibia, spent 11 years there, moved to the UK in 2006, and I've been there ever since. I was a permanent resident in Namibia, so it's when I call it my second home. That's what my children were born in Namibia, so that's very dear to me. I live in the UK as a Kenyan citizen, but I have I'm a permanent resident in the United Kingdom, but I still carry my Kenyan passport. I'm a patriot. Thanks.
We love to see and hear when people leave Kenya and they're still patriots, and they still speak so highly of Kenya and even make attempts and efforts as you're doing currently. However, I want us to go a little bit back to your background in business, because you have done business in the UK. So are there some that you're currently maybe interested in or interests that you're pursuing business-wise, maybe personal projects or things that you're doing?
Yes, there is. And that is why I've said I'm not at liberty to discuss what is in the pipeline is so huge. But I cannot talk about it today. I will talk to you about it. You know, you've written articles about our County 48, what we are doing. So after next week, I will be able to give you details of that. But for now, I'll not divulge what this is about. But there is something in the pipeline, which is going to be great news for Kenyans in the diaspora. But I'm not going to give any details now. Thank you.
Okay, well, you're teasing, and I really hope that the people in the diaspora can wait and benefit from this. Although, you see, when we talk about the Diaspora 48 County, and when we talk about the current progress that you've made, I want us to do a little backtracking and give this some history and some context, because it's not a journey that has begun this year or last year, because from our conversations, it's been something that's been going on for like a decade. Can you walk us through the journey of how this process began? And I know you do not work alone, you have other people in your team. So just walk us through from that period in around 2013 when all this began.
Okay, thank you very much. So talking about the Diaspora County 48, that's really where my heart has been. This has been a long, long struggle. And again, just to mention, when I look at my icons, really, I lived in Southern Africa, and when I look at things that people like Nelson Mandela, rest in peace, and now Sam Nujoma, something I learned from them. You read Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom, and Sam Nujoma's Where Others Wavered. These are autobiographies about a struggle. These are people who believed in something. And Nelson Mandela actually said, these are ideals that he was prepared to die for, if you remember, before he was thrown into prison. So one thing I picked is that if you believe in something that you're actually prepared and ready to die for, then it's a worth a noble cause. And that's what the Diaspora County 48 has been to many of us in diaspora, because when we moved out of Kenya, we moved out as individuals, and you land in a foreign country and you realize that it's not all rosy there. There are so many issues, there are so many struggles, there are so many problems, people die. And in the process, it became apparent that we needed unity for diaspora, for Kenyans living abroad. And that's how this whole idea of Diaspora County 48 was really born. It was just born from that craving for unity. There are so many Kenyans who live abroad, and they all have different affiliations, different groups. So we are so disunited, so fragmented, and it became apparent that the only way we can have a voice to be listened to is if we united together. And this started, I'll give you an example. In Namibia, for example, we were the first people. I told you I got there in 1995. The country just got independence in 1990, so it was only 5 years old. We were the pioneer Kenyans in Namibia as diaspora. And therefore, I was, together with other colleagues, the first people who came together and created what is today known as the Kenya Welfare Association in Namibia. And that, to me, is I always see it as the foundation of our movement up to where we are as County 48, because that's where the seeds of unity were sowed. And the moment we created that, when I moved from Namibia, we had a solid, that association is still there. We had a solid foundation. Came to the UK, and I could see the same issue. Kenyans in a lot of countries, especially in the UK, they are organized into communities, depending on where you live. So if you live in London, there's a Kenyan community. Within London itself, there'll be a Kenyan community in the south, in the north, in the west, Manchester, like that. So again, the same fragmentation. You go to the US, the same thing everywhere. And that's why the whole idea of, can we all get together? Can we sit and reason together? Uh, uh, that's where the seeds were, so that there was that need now. In Namibia, it was simple. It's just uniting Kenyans in one country. But when the moment I moved to Europe, it's now a bigger, if you want to look at it, it's like you've moved from a lake to the ocean now. And we are looking at not just Kenyans in one country, but Kenyans globally. And it's on that now that we started pushing for having a united, an umbrella organization that could represent all Kenyans. And with the coming of the new constitution in 2010 in Kenya, diaspora now, although that constitution does not actually mention the word diaspora, something that we think needs to be amended. It talks of Kenyans abroad, but it did address some of the issues of Kenyans diaspora, such as dual citizenship and so on and so forth. But it still fell short of really addressing the real needs for Kenyans in diaspora. One of those being the need, our craving to be represented in the governance of the country. Yes, the constitution allowed registration. So if you look at the constitution, the way it stands, it allows for representation of all Kenyans, irrespective of where they live. It provides for diaspora to be represented at all levels of governance, but there is no structure for that. Okay, so first forward, 2014, there was the Kenya Diaspora Policy document, the KDB 2014, which tried now to create a framework of implementing the provisions of the Constitution. But again, that framework fell short of that. And because of that, it was not really very many of us still felt that we are still outsiders. Although we live abroad, we are patriotic, we are Kenyans, but we always feel that we are really not part of the system. And so we started now agitating seriously, looking for an avenue where we could have a seat on the table. Okay. Now, remember, voting was allowed for those in diaspora, and the issues were, okay, how are we going to get people in diaspora to register as voters and to vote? So come 2013 elections, there was no framework for that, okay? And that's why we say, look, Constitution was passed in 2010, and we cannot vote. So 2013 came, and it went, no diaspora voting. That's when now we say we need to get even more serious. And through that, we started pushing. I've had a lot of interactions with the former chairman of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, and we engaged time, and I remember we had Zoom meetings, conferences. We met. I don't know if Kennedy could have shown that for us. I have lots of meetings that I had with the chairman of IEBC, and we said, look, 2010, we are allowed to vote. 2013, we cannot vote. So 2017, Chebukati said, okay, Diaspora, we are going to give you an opportunity to vote, okay? And the question was, okay, so how are we going to vote? Okay, we live in Diaspora, how are we going to vote? And this is where the whole concept of the Diaspora County 48 was born, because there are 47 counties in Kenya. So if you are voting in Kenya, it means your votes are going to go into one of those counties.
Okay.
But if you're in diaspora, our votes cannot go in any of those. I really wish Kennedy could show where Chebukati himself was able to say, okay, we will accept what you are saying, that we will offer you the county 48. But this, and people fight me when I keep saying, listen, we were already given county 48 by Chebukati. People say, no. Chebukati did not give you county.
You know, Bernard, for the purpose of information, it only happened during that particular time so that you could vote. I think the framework for that particular time was you were able to vote for the president. And I think it's what can still happen now. What you're fighting for is more position and a bigger seat at the table so that you can participate more in the governance, especially in the counties that affect you.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. You know, and this is what I like, because you really know the issue so much. Actually, I think you should move to the county 48. Yes, I was just giving that background because you asked me how did we get where we got, and I was saying this is how it all worked out, and that's how the whole concept of the Diaspora County 48 came about. That we needed a voice, and our first right that we were fighting for was the voting right. And we pushed and pushed and pushed until IEBC said, fine, diaspora, you can vote, okay? And because the Constitution and also the Electoral Act 2011 says diaspora, the IEBC should make sure diaspora votes, and that voting right should be increased progressive. So there should be a progressive efforts to make sure we vote. So the starting point was just 5 countries, East African countries. The people in Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, and then they added South Africa. So in 2017, we were allowed the first time 5 countries to vote. And like you rightfully say, we were only allowed to vote for the president. We cannot vote for governors. We cannot vote for senators. We cannot vote for MNAs. We cannot vote for MCAs. So it was only for president. 5 countries only, and you only vote. Now, another problem with that is, where do we vote? And according to the Constitution, you can only vote on Kenyan foreign missions. So the question is, where are these missions? And all these missions are in the capital cities of large countries or large cities in most of the countries. So what happens is that every member, so if you take anybody in diaspora, you've been given 5 countries. So it means if you are not in one of those countries, you have to travel to go and vote. Up to today, people who live in Southern Africa, I told you I used to live in Namibia. Namibians cannot vote in Namibia. They have to go to Pretoria to vote, for example. Okay, everybody in Southern Africa has to go to South Africa to vote. So already you can see there was that problem, the logistics of doing this. And the voting is only for president. Okay, so we say, listen, this is not working for us. We need more. We need more. Okay. So again, what happens with IBC says, okay, we are going to add for you 7 more countries. Okay. That decision was announced by Chebukati, announced that decision here in England. We were together in Luton, okay, when he stood and announced, when public and said, okay, so for the 2022 elections, we've increased the number of countries in diaspora from 5 to 12. That was announced here. We were together, and we even shook hands for that. If only Kennedy could show those pictures, you'd see me shaking the hand of Chebukati once he agreed on that. But remember, only countries were increased. So the increase here was just more countries. You can only still vote only for the president, and you can also only vote at the missions, Kenyan missions. So the additional, in the UK, for example, we have 4 countries. But to vote, to register and vote, everybody must come to London. So whether you live in Northern Ireland, which is a different country, you have to come here. You live in Scotland, you have to come to London. You live in Wales, you have to come to England. That's just England. And in Europe, the whole of Europe, we were given only 2 countries. So it's only UK and Germany, which means everybody in Europe has to travel to one of those countries to register and vote. The US was given 3 stations in Washington, D.C., New York, and Los Angeles. Again, the US is like a subcontinent. They have to travel to all those countries. Canada was given 2 as well. And then South Sudan was given, Germany, like I say, Qatar, UAE, and all those countries. So now we've got 12 countries. And this is why I was saying, on the front of fighting for voting rights, we fought for that. Okay, that battle now, whether diaspora can vote, register and vote, we've won that. And the Constitution says this needs to be progressive. So what IEBC needs to do is increase the number of countries. Currently, there are 12 of them. We need more. Okay, we need more countries. But the most important thing is we don't just need more countries now. We also want to vote not just for president, but we want to vote for governors, senators, members of parliament. For the MCAs, we can wait, okay? But we need to be able at least to vote for governor, senator, and member of National Assembly. So there's war there. We need that. And we are saying IEBC needs, when it's constituted, the new IEBC, we are saying, you need to look at that very urgently and make sure we get 1, more countries, and 2, we need to be able to elect members for not just the president. Okay, so that's on that front. The other front, and we are grateful for that, given us the State Department of Diaspora Affairs. But what has been ignored is the first statement. Talking about the ministry came second. What he said first was, we have elevated diaspora to diaspora county 48 to the 48th county. So I am actually calling upon the president to live up to that promise. You know, he made this promise on his inaugural speech, where he said, we've elevated diaspora to the 48th county. So, Mr. President, we are now asking you, this is something you promised us, and we are saying we've done everything possible. We've laid all the groundwork. Can you help us to implement that promise? Because we want to have our own county, and we've done everything. We've submitted our charter. It shows how the county will be is structured. Everything on that county, we've put it together. And on top of that, so just towards the tail end of last year, we did submit a constitutional amendment bill where we need, of course, the constitution will need to be amended. Schedule 1 needs to be amended of Article 6, where it talks about 47 counties. That needs to change to 48 counties. And then Article 97 talks of 47 counties. That needs also to be changed to 48 counties, and Article 98. I don't want to mention how much money we send as remittances, because you say, oh, are you buying us? No, but I'm just saying that's all we are asking. As diaspora, we are just saying, give us our county. The referendum just needs 50% plus one. Just give us that. And it's not going to be a burden to the Kenyans. We are going to run to fund our own county, our own ways. And all we are going to require from this, and we did now also submit last year a petition. What we need is we need the constituency 291, which was used again by IEBC to tabulate our votes. We need this to be legitimate. We need this to be entrenched in law. So we're asking for two things here. We are saying on the county front, give us county 48. Okay. On the constituency level, remember the constitution has got 290. There are 290 constituencies. We are saying add for us number 1, which, and I know people say a lot of things, but I think Wafula Chebukati already did all these things for us. One, already in 2017, he said all the diaspora votes are county 48 votes. So he already, then the president came and said, we have elevated you to the 48th county. Then the same Chebukati also took all our votes and put them under not any constituency in Kenya, not any of those 290 constituencies, but he put them under constituency 291. So all we are saying is, give us, legitimize our county 48 and legitimize our constituency 291. Why? So that we can have a voice and a seat in the National Assembly and also a Senate seat. As a county, will be entitled a seat in the Senate. As a constituency, will be entitled a seat in National Assembly. And with 2 representatives, I know I've been told we need more, because look, countries like Italy, France, or Cote d'Ivoire, they have 10, 20 seats for, but we are saying, why don't you just give us those 2 first? 1 member in Parliament, National Assembly, and another one in Senate, and then give us now a women rep, okay? Give us a youth rep, and give us a disability rep and a worker. So in total, give us about 7 seats. And we are just going, and that's all we're asking for. But people say, oh no, it's impossible, it cannot be done. And they forget, people forget what JF Kennedy, another one. I told you about Nelson Mandela. I told you about Sam Nujoma. Another one of my heroes, my role models is JF Kennedy, and remember what he said. Before the end of this decade, we plan to put a man in the moon safely and bring him back to Earth, right? When he was talking about that, people thought he was crazy. He said, we'll send a man to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. And then he said, we choose to do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Can you believe that? He's saying, because he knew what people are, you must be dreaming. You're sort of taking a man to the moon and back. And he said, yes, we choose to do that. We choose to go to the moon, put a man there and bring him back safely before the decade. And it happened, 1969.
Well,
that's he was dead, but it happened. They put a man in the moon and he came back. This county we've been fighting for, and people have said, oh, it's impossible. It's what it is not. And trust me, the same way if you told Mandela when he was sentenced for 27 years, he would become president, he would have, South Africa would be free. Some people would have said impossible. If you told Sam Nujoma when he was in Lubango fighting for independence of Namibia against the mighty South African, racist South Africa, if you say it could be done, people would have thought you are dreaming. But it all came to pass. So these things I'm saying, we are going to get our county 48. Okay, it might be today or tomorrow. It may not even be in my lifetime, but it will happen. And we will get constituency 291, where we will have representatives in parliament and in the National Assembly and in the Senate. It might happen sooner or it may happen not even in my lifetime, but I'm saying these are ideals, these are things I believe in, and I'll keep fighting for them to the end. The thing I want also to say, the county, is that we are not just fighting on the political front. We also we are also fighting on the social front and also on the business development of our people. So, for example, we've got Kenyans who have invested back home. Okay, we've got Kenyans who have invested in diaspora, and many Kenyans are now helping other Kenyans to get opportunities of investment back home. And a good example is this company known as Amerista Real Estate. This company has been helping people. They call it to create generational wealth, where people are able to secure, to get plots. For example, you can buy plots in Kitengela, in Nanyuki, Kangundo Road, Mala, those kind of places. Apartments, 3-bedroom houses, 2-bedroom houses, 1-bedroom studio. And they are not the only one. But what I'm saying is, this is what we've been trying to encourage our people to say. We want Kenyans in diaspora to take the initiative of providing these opportunities for their fellow people in diaspora. And Amerista Real Estate is really doing a fantastic job. The company is owned by a pastor. It's a lady. She lives in the United States of America. A very passionate lady who believes in creating generational wealth for people. And I think they are doing a fantastic job. And I would recommend anyone who wants to invest back home, if you want to buy properties back home, you want to buy a plot, Kitengela, Nanyuki, or you want to buy a house in Waka, speak with them. They've got wonderful, and their prices are really cheap. You with 350 pounds, you have a plot. Yeah, in Nanyuki, you get a plot for as little as 350,000 Kenya shillings. And even those, the houses, the 3-bedroom houses being sold in Ruaka, the prices are really good. Ruaka is a really prime place, and they say you can get a 3-bedroom house maybe for less than 10 million shillings or something like that. So I would really, really recommend that. A lot of people, there are many companies from diaspora, from Kenya, and so on and so forth. But once you understand the whole concept, like Amerista, and realize that it's not just old people now who need properties. There's the youth, there's the Gen Z, the millennial, and all these people. Everybody needs a fair shake of the national kick. So I think when you end up pricing property, and not just that, they offer installments, where you just pay monthly installments, and then when you finish, you get your title deed. So yes, it's opening up. It's and that's what we are saying. Diaspora, one, we need our political space. We need our social space, and I'll be talking. I told you I've been working in the insurance industry.
Yes,
I traveled to Kenya with a delegation and met with the PS for Diaspora Affairs, Rosalind Jogu. I
yes,
had
yes,
met
I saw
with
that.
the CS for Diaspora Affairs here. The former CS was Alfred Mutua. I met him here at the Kenya Commission. And we already put a proposal to assist Kenyans stress, others die and all that. So on the social front, we've really tried to see if we could have, and I did submit a proposal to the government on having an evacuation and repatriation insurance policy that people can take so that if something happens out here, they do not become a burden to the government or even to their own families. And I'm glad to say there's progress on that. So, like I told you, in the coming days, you will be hearing news about that. So that's one thing. Then the other thing has been investment opportunities for our people in diaspora. Remember, last year, no, 2023 December, we had a diaspora investment conference,
Okay.
and
It was
and
2024.
the idea was to encourage people from diaspora to go and showcase what they are offering. Of course, the businesses in Kenya were showcasing what they are offering to the Kenyan diaspora. But our view was we also want the Kenyan diaspora, who we have our business people here, to have that opportunity to go to Kenya and actually showcase what they are offering. And it was a very successful conference. The president was there, President William Ruto was there. It was really, really a great opportunity. Diaspora County 48 was there. We had a booth, and it felt very good to be showcasing the Diaspora County 48 on the Kenyan soil. So that was wonderful. So that's on the business front. And that's why we are saying those who want to invest, let the people in diaspora also get that space. We need to have an investment space back home. And the government is doing its best to encourage diaspora investment, but there are still issues of trust and people who have lost money through the investment. So we are saying we need more protections when it comes to diaspora investment. So, so having a company like Ameristar Real Estate, you see, the good thing is it's when you are dealing with someone who is in diaspora, it's easier to trust them. You understand why? Because if they sell you a plot and then something happens, then you go knock at their door. But if you go buy a plot back home, you not know whose door to knock on. So yes.
Well, thank you, Bernard. We love us. So we're just gonna pivot back and go back to the politics, which is exactly where your heart is. There is one interesting thing about Kenyans. You see, you're very passionate about this project because you understand what is in the diaspora for them. This involves changing the constitution. This involves people actually changing certain frameworks in Kenya for it to work. They need to know what is in it for them. Like, if this vision actually does come to fruition, how does the Kenyan in Kenya benefit? Because it's their constitution that needs to change to accommodate the diaspora people. What's it
Okay.
for? I am in Kenya. I haven't set foot outside Africa, but I will be expected to maybe cast my vote, or So how does
Good question. Good question, Maria. And this is the reason I told you. You see, from the way you've put it, you see, you've already categorized. There is us and them. Do you see? You've already said those of us in Kenya, we belong to Kenya, we own Kenya, it's our Kenya. Why should we let these people in diaspora have a share of anything, you're forgetting that every Kenyan who is in diaspora is still a Kenyan, okay? We are just as Kenyans as every other Kenyan who lives in Kenya. And actually, to answer your question, what is it in for those people in Kenya? If the people in diaspora were to ask that question, if the people I know who, and I'm telling you this from experience, and you can ask anybody, I have people who will tell you, you know, I work 2-3 jobs. And why I work 2 or 3 jobs is because the money I get from the second job, I send it home. Okay. 60%. Someone tells you I spend 60% of my income. I send it home. I educate my sisters this. I pay for my brothers this. I put my parents in this. I do it, and I'm telling you, you can ask anybody. So when people ask, and it's good you've asked that, what is in it for us? The people in diaspora have sacrificed over and over and over. And I want that notion that people have, that they think because you're in diaspora, money grows on trees or it just flows in rivers, you just go and grab it. And it is not true. I'm telling you the truth. People suffer, people sacrifice. They sacrifice to pay that school fees back home, to pay that hospital bill back home. They sacrifice to build that house for their parents, you know? So when they just ask and say, we also have aspirations, we want to be represented, can you at least vote for us to get one representative in the National Assembly? Can you vote for us to get one seat in the Senate? Is that really asking too much in the background of $4 billion every year, which translates to about 650 billion Kenya shillings? Is that something? Is that too much to ask? I don't know, but personally, I think it's a win-win situation. All diaspora is saying is, give us a voice. Let us also be heard, so that we can continue to do the good work we are doing for our country. I started by telling you some of us are patriots. We carry our Kenyan passports with pride.
Okay.
You know, let me show you what I'm saying. You see that?
Yeah, you are Kenyan.
See that?
Yes, yes, I
We
do.
carry this with pride. We are proud to be Kenyans, but we don't want to be told because you are in diaspora, you cannot be represented, you cannot become a member of parliament, you cannot become a member of Senate. That we are saying, no, it's not fair. Everybody should get a fair shake of the Kenyan dream.
Okay, well, that's a fair concern, and I think if the more we make noise about something, which is what I believe in as a youth and as a young person in Kenya, when we make the right noise and address issues the way, like when we address legitimate concerns like the ones you have. For example, you've said that the Kenya diaspora sends billions in remittances to Kenya. So were you to get this framework, say for example, it succeeds and you have this framework where you have County 48 and you have Constituency 291, how would County 48 ensure that the contributions translate to political influence and development? Because currently, I think those remittances are going directly to like family members, but you said you don't want County 48 for the money that comes with it. You are capable of fully funding that office and developing it as your own.
And this is something I want everybody to hear us and hear us very clearly. We are not asking for a county so that we can get revenue allocation from Kenya. We don't need that. We live in the developed world. The people who live, the Kenyans who live in diaspora, they are capable of funding our county through subscriptions, memberships. And remember, we are not building roads or hospitals or those things here, okay? So we have no capital engagements in the name of the county. What we want is to provide services for our people. For example, when it comes to registering and voting, we want the county, that's where our money is going to be spent. Remember, there was noise being made that, they wanted rights to vote, only 10,000 of them registered. Yes, only 10,000 registered, but why? Because you're asking people to travel more than 2,000 miles to go and register. You know, you spend $1,000 to go and register to vote, then you go back, and that takes you 2 days. Then you spend another $1,000 to go and vote and go back. That's another 2 days of work. And we are saying, we as County 48, we can take care of that, where we can have polling stations where the people live. We know where the communities are. You change the law and allow us to open polling stations where the people live, and we will take care of that. IEBC will not need to send officers from Kenya to come and stay in hotels, spend money registering people, and then going back and forth. Those services will be rendered by the Diaspora County 48. And that's what we are saying. And that's where we want to go. And while we are at it, we consider even more use of technology, like most countries, advanced countries. So where we love mobile registration, I was asking this question the other day, because the State Department of Diaspora Affairs has been doing mobile consular services, where they go, where people are, to give them passports, IDs, marriage certificates, and all that. Why can't we do the same with our registration for voting? So while you are giving these people IDs and all those things, you might as well get them to register as voters.
Well,
You see what I mean? Which only leaves the voting now to be the thing remaining. So there are many things we can do, but we need to be empowered. And that's why we want legitimacy here. And we are just saying, if people can think about this in a sober way and say, what is it these people want? How is it going to help? You see, it will take a huge burden from the government, because there will be no need now of having to bring people from back home all the time. Something needs to be done. We'll be able to do it. There will be checks and balances, just the way you can check anything. And we'll have voters registered. We are 4 million people. How do you explain 10,000 people? Because it's impossible to register. And vote. Exactly. So that's what we say. And then again, on welfare, like I told you, I've been in the insurance field. Again, when people are stranded, when people are dead, sometimes it embarrasses the government, bodies are rotting in the morgues, and so on and so forth. So we've said, again, diaspora has the answer to that, okay? We are the one who know the people, we know the terrain. We can come up with insurance cover that will protect everyone, so that if something happens, you are stranded, we'll evacuate you. First, put you in a safe place, okay? And then from there, we can evacuate you back home. Those who die will be able to repatriate them or to remain. You know, so these are things which, because we understand that terrain, we know what's going on here. We are saying, entrust the county, because it's run by people in diaspora, and would take care of these things, of course, in conjunction with the Kenyan foreign missions. But we are saying it's time now that we are actually given a proper position, a platform to do these things.
Okay. So, Bernard, I would argue a lot of constitutional reforms. There is a lot that needs to go into this for it to happen, and it's not a one-month show. It's not up to the Kenyan Parliament alone. It's not up to the legislature, the executive, or any arm of the government. A lot has to go in for this to happen. But I think the most interesting thing that you've pointed out in this entire conversation is you've provided a solution. You've said that the diaspora has so many issues when it comes to welfare, when it comes to business, when it comes to the day-to-day nitty-gritties that the government might not really get that far because the offices are in the capital. So I think if you push this narrative of you're offering a solution, what you might actually get closer to what you want than saying you get there faster than the constitutional reform way. Because one, you have a solution. You're saying, give us this county or give us this constituency, and all the problems that you have to put boots on the ground, we will solve it ourselves. So I think we change the narrative just a little bit and tell the government, we can actually partner together and we can help each other because we are patriots and, you know, in the spirit of being Kenyan. So I think that's a really interesting perspective to push. You are here to give solutions, and that's really nice, Bernard.
I'm telling you, what you've said is exactly, we traveled from different parts of, remember the county is represented in 8 regions, okay? We cover, there's Europe, there's North America, South America, Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, and those areas, the Middle East, we've got Eurasia, we got Asia, we got Africa. We traveled and went to present our charter. And the charter talks exactly of the things you are talking about. A smart partnership between the Kenyan diaspora through Diaspora County 48 and the government. Everything is documented and how it's going to work. All those things, we've done the research. We've mapped the whole of the Kenyan diaspora in those 8 globally. If you ask me how many Kenyans live in London, I can tell. If you ask me how many Kenyans live in Brazil, I can tell you. And we've mapped the whole world. We know where the Kenyans are, where the Kenyan communities are. We've got the data. It's a matter of now partnering, smart partnership with the government to deliver their services. But all we are saying is for us to do that, give us recognition, okay? It has already been pronounced. Chebukati pronounced it. He said, we are now, this is diaspora as far as IBC is concerned, this is County 48. The president on his inaugural speech, he stood there and said, we have elevated diaspora to the 48th county. That's it. There are no two ways about why can't we pursue this and just make this official? And you think it's very complicated. It's not. It's just constitutional amendment. You just go into the constitution and say, what do we need to change? You open the constitution and everywhere it talks about 47 counties, you change it to 48. It's as simple as that. So you go to Article 6, Schedule 1 of Article 6, change it. It has a list there of 47 counties. You go at the bottom, you add 48 and right there, diaspora. You go to Article 97, it talks about Kenya shall have 47 counties. You just scratch that, put 48. Go to Article 98, says 47 counties, scratch that, put 48. That's it. The constitution is finished. It doesn't take, you understand? Then after that, you just need to take it to the National Assembly and they need 2/3 majority. I mean, we saw them when they were impeaching the deputy president. I mean, it was like lightning, isn't it? Within flash, 2/3 majority. So the county, the same, 2/3 majority. Vote, National Assembly, take it to the Senate, 2/3 majority, vote. Then from there to go for the referendum. And we are saying, leave that with our people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I hear
We
you, Bernard.
will now speak to our people directly and appeal for them to vote for us. But the people are saying it's impossible is because they don't want us to go through those two first steps, just the National Assembly and the Senate. Why don't they pass that and then leave the referendum with us? I will be boots on the ground. All of us in diaspora, we will all fly back home, village to village, and we will get that referendum. I can guarantee you that. Some of us have been campaigning. We are always boots on the ground. The moment, imagine if we've campaigned for people who are running for office back home, and we are not the ones running. What do you think we are going to do if we say, guys, our referendum now is on at stake? Everybody get on that plane. Let's meet in Kenya. Let's go door to door and let's get this. It will be done by 8 a.m. the way they say in Kenya. Mapema sana itakuwa imeisha. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I hear what you're saying. Well, of course, I still want to pivot back and say that we are guided by the Constitution, and even in our conversations, and even as we speak about this, we cannot forget about the Constitution and just how much it takes to change that. But you've said that you only need to pass through this first stage and the second stage. So I'm pretty sure that this is a conversation that we've just begun, and I will have you back on this platform to talk about the progress that you've made and how much effort that is going into this, because we have an election coming up. I mean, we are Kenyans and we start talking about these issues soon, whether directly, indirectly, using analogies or using figures of speech. People are campaigning, which means it is a time when your agenda is ripe and you're going to be pushing it. So 2027 is coming up. And so we'll do the Kenyan thing. We are going to call upon the president, quoting him with what he said, and we are going to tag every office in the diaspora that has a mandate to hear your conversation. We want them to hear you out, and we want you to present this as a solution in a way that is important to Kenyans and important to those in the diaspora. However, Bernard, I do have one question even as we conclude this interview, because we do need to wind down. We've talked about the challenges that you're facing here in Kenya, or the hurdles that you're going through to make these come to fruition. However, there is still a certain community that is really going to be affected by this, and I wonder, have they been an easy people to deal with? What are some of the challenges that you're facing in convincing the diaspora to ride with this vision?
I'll get to that, but before I get to that, let me point out, because you've really touched on a very important point. People are already campaigning. 2027 is just around the corner, okay? And whoever is listening or whoever is going to listen and watch this, I just want you to know we are talking of 4 million votes here, okay? We are talking of 4 million diaspora votes. And we are smart people. Whoever is on our corner as we are fighting our struggle, when the time comes, we will not forget. And trust me, in 2027, it's not going to be 10,000 diaspora votes. It's going to be 4 million. We've made it our goal. As we speak, we are mobilizing. We are getting our members to register to vote. We are going to have 3-4 million votes come 2027. And whoever is with us now, as we are struggling to get this county, as we are struggling to get this constituency, whoever is with us, when that time comes, well, guess where the votes will go. So that is a promise I'm making, that make no mistake, people are campaigning. And actually, on a lighter note, remember, I know Raila Odinga, Honorable, is vying for AU. You know, the moment if he gets that seat on Sunday, then he's going to move to Addis Ababa, which makes him also a member of diaspora. So,
oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, he's going to be a member of County 48. So, when that happens, I'll be paying him a visit to discuss the strategy as a member of County 48. You understand?
Oh, wow.
Coming to your question about challenge, of course there are challenges. Not everybody understands a struggle. All right, there are those who see a vision where it's going, where it's coming from, and there are those who are indifferent. There are people. We used to read that in school. There are some people who make things happen. There are some people who watch things happen, and there are people who just wonder how things happen. So it's a matter of defining yourself and know where do you belong. Are you one of those people who make things happen? Because those are the people we need now. Are you one of those people who watch things happen, or those who wonder? But those are okay. The worst ones are those who do not understand, and then they'll just start making comments or statements which do not help. So when you have a struggle like this, you don't expect everybody. Most people don't join a course like this they join when they start seeing the fruits. Okay, so the moment we get our people registered, the moment we start putting people in parliament, in senate, then people will actually say, oh, okay, after all, he was not a crazy man. This is happening. Okay, so that's it. So yes, there are challenges, there are obstacles. Our biggest challenge and obstacle in diaspora is division. We are so divided, we are so fragmented, disunited, people are always trying to push, their corner, so you see most people know if we are united, then we can achieve something. But there are those who know that unity might be a threat to them or something. You understand what I'm saying? So there are those who always be sowing those seeds of disunity. And that's why when we say Diaspora County 48, we say it doesn't matter what you are doing in diaspora. So long as you've left Kenya, I told you, if Honorable Raila Odinga moves to Addis Ababa, whether he likes it or not, is going to be a member of the
diaspora community.
It's as simple as that. So, and if we can all believe that, I'm telling you, there's nothing we cannot move.
Okay, well, thank you. Very impressive. Throughout this interview, our producer, Kennedy Cheboyin, has been sharing some content about you, Johnny, and some of the things that you have done. You have been a very vocal person. You have done interviews with media houses in Kenya, The Standard. You have done interviews with the CNN. You have done interviews with us, and I have seen several articles of the work that you have been doing. And as someone who supports development and growth, I would like to say that this is really impressive. And you are current generation, and of course, a new one is coming. And maybe there is something that you would like to say, that the fight does not end with you, and the agenda and the idea that you're pushing doesn't have to end with you, whether it's achieved in the next 5 or 10 years. Maybe you have a call to action for the youth of Kenya, the youth of the diaspora, and every other person who believes that the idea that you have will be beneficial for us in the long term. We're winding down, and I just want you to speak to Kenyans as a Kenyan.
Okay, thank you very much for that opportunity. You see, when we are talking, I can't see what has been showing, so I really wish I was hoping I would be seeing it. Then I would have been able. I would have been able to comment on it, but it's okay if it was being shown out there. And again, Maria, like I said, thank you for this opportunity. I just want to say to my fellow Kenyans that we are all Kenyans to start with. Kenya is our country. We don't have another country. Let us all protect, let us all build our country. It doesn't pay when we stand out there and say bad things about our country, or wish our country. I mean, let's face it. Everybody was saying, what kind of a president? Most people, what kind of president is Trump? Why would people vote for Trump? So that was the first time. So people say it was a fluke, that's how he became a president. But was it fluke the second time? Absolutely not. Why? Because he believes in his country, and the people can see that he believes in his country. And my message to my fellow Kenyans is that it's time now we start believing in our country, in our systems, and it doesn't matter. One thing that the Constitution 2010 gave us is that there is a limit on presidential terms, government terms. So we don't have that system. Remember when we used to have Article 2A, where Kenya was a de facto one-party state, which meant there were no terms on presidential terms, there were no limits. For now, it's you take it. Let's say you're an American Democrat. You are president, it moved. Someone else become, you support your country. Americans don't badmouth their country because they don't like their president or something. No, they are patriotic. As an American, when it comes to American outsider, they are Americans first. I'm telling you that. The same here in the UK. We've got the Conservative government party and the Labour Party. We've had conservative governments, I think, for the last 20 years. It was just conservative. And then change, boom. Now we have a Labour government. Conservatives don't say because we are not in power, this country is going to. No, they sit there, they advise, they help because Britain, the UK, belongs to all of us. So that's my message, from my experience out here. I'm just saying, Kenyans, things might not be going the way we want. Things might not be what we want. But it's our obligation, it's our duty to make them better. So let's all wake up thinking, what can you do? And I'll quote J.F. Kennedy again, he say, ask not what your country has done for you, but what you can do for your country. I'm now echoing those words for my fellow Kenyans. And I'm saying, ask not what the government is doing for you, and ask what can you do to make the lives of our fellow Kenyans better and our country better. If we can all just have that paradigm shift from blaming the government, blaming who, and each one of us playing their role, I think we've got the most beautiful, rich, powerful, nice country, Kenya, and we can all make it a country that we can be proud of. And that's really my mission. Like I said, I've lived now 30 years abroad, but home is home, and there's no place like home. Let's not ruin our country. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bernard. Thank you, viewers, from wherever you're watching us from, whether you're in Kenya or whether you are in the diaspora. And as we have established today, whether you are in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Namibia, Ethiopia, or across the seas, you are still a diaspora citizen and you are still a Kenyan. So thank you very much, Bernard. A conversation with you has been very illuminating. And if you have loved this episode, share it with your friends. And if you love conversations about Kenyans done by Kenyans anywhere across the globe, this is your #1 platform, the Kenya Diaspora Spotlight. We do stories that normally do not make it to the mainstream media because maybe the impact is around the community that you're in. But if you're a community leader, if you're a thought leader interested in lifestyle, interested in culture, or even changing the political landscape or changing the political situation like Bernard Kavyu is doing, you are welcome to join us in our next conversation next week on Sunday. So we would like to thank him for his contribution and for his insights, and of course for the most important thing that he's done today, which was plug us a business opportunity and plug us to Amerista who are doing investments in Kenya. So thank you very much, Bernard. And I look forward to even having more conversations with you as this agenda and this topic grows, because we still have a long way to achieving what it is that you want. So I will see you again. Refer your friends to me who are interested in culture from anywhere across the globe, and I will see you next week on Sunday. Until next time, I have been Maria Njoroge.